Hey, how are you guys doing today? Welcome to another episode of Fridays Are For Friends. I'm here with an amazing and talented artist, Megan Eileen. Your debut single, What a Feeling, you wrote in your college apartment. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how did it come about and what shaped the song?
Yeah, so the song is about my, or no, it's about one of my exes. But it wasn't necessarily a song that I wrote like right after the breakup. It was like I was on Snapchat, and then on Snapchat like the memories came up, and it was a memory of the day that I got broken up with, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been a year, and I had no idea. Like it was just like kind of, I kind of just flew by. And it was just interesting to think about how like I used to be so sad about the situation, and like he was my whole life at that time. And then now I don't really like, it doesn't feed my soul anymore. So at that moment I was like, this is kind of a cool moment to dive into that kind of breakup song where it's like more of an anniversary of like dipping back into those feelings that I felt when I first wrote the song. And then now like how I'm feeling and how I've been able to move on, even though in that moment I felt like I was gonna die. So yeah, then it was also very interesting to like dip back into those feelings and kind of get in the headspace of like trying to miss him when I didn't. And it also showed me like the growth of how much has happened in that 1 year, and how I thought that when it first happened, like I was gonna be at alone at all times. So
Yeah, it's interesting how us as artists were able to just like tap into feelings. Even like you said, if you're not feeling it right now, it still strikes as good inspiration
yeah.
with your music. And speaking about just like what typically inspires you, how do you or where do you find your inspiration?
I usually write a lot of sad songs. If I'm not feeling the best, I'll kind of resort to writing. I just feel like it's more of like a diary, and a lot of the time when I don't necessarily feel the best, I don't know how to like share that with people. I find that sometimes I don't like to share that side of me. I like to just share like my happy-go-lucky side. So writing about it helps me still go through that like processing. Part of it all without having to like talk to somebody about it. But then, you write the song and then you have to release it, and now it's like, okay, now everybody knows.
Sure.
But yeah, it definitely helps me like process a lot of this stuff. So whenever it's like I have to feel like inspired, that's usually when I write most of my music. But other than that, then like if it's like a collaboration, it's usually a lot more fun, because I get to like feed off of other people. And I think it's really cool to hear a perspective on something that you thought you had like all the knowledge about. It's like, oh wait, no, there's something else that could be added to it.
Yeah, for sure. So can you talk a little bit then about your songwriting process? Because I know you mentioned briefly about like writing songs without choruses.
Yeah.
What's your reason for doing that? Because that's like 100% against the
Yeah.
traditional norm as like a songwriter.
Yeah, especially in college, I had a lot of time like by myself, so I would write like a lot. And in college, I was in a long distance relationship, so it was like I was going through a lot of emotions by myself. And I just found myself kind of like I felt the same things over and over again, but like they would still like come to me in full like force, as if I was feeling it for the first time. So like I was very repetitive, like the feelings were very repetitive. So then I felt like when writing, it was kind of just like word vomiting all the time. And it was like run on sentences. And in that moment, it felt really like freeing. And it just felt like it was like the most natural thing for me to do. And then when I would finally like finish the song, I would look back and like, there's no chorus. Like, I don't even know what to name this. So a lot of the times, it's not necessarily like a chorus. It would be like just a phrase being repeated. And even like in What a Feeling, like What a Feeling isn't even in the chorus of the song. It's just like me kind of like, what a feeling that it was that this was how I was feeling when the breakup happened. What a feeling to know that I'm not feeling like that anymore. What a feeling to know that like I've let go. Like it was just like I repeat kind of what I'm thinking rather than let me write this chorus and put it in the song.
Yeah, that's such an interesting way of writing. It's almost like a journal entry in a way.
Yeah.
Just like you said, just letting out those feelings and letting out those words without structuring it in the right way.
Yeah.
You know, which is interesting. Congrats, by the way, on making it on American Idol.
Okay.
What, I guess, was that feeling when you first went into the first round? And, yeah, just talk a little bit about that.
American Idol, like, kind of fell on my lap a little bit. My mom, she had always told me to, like, sign up for American Idol. I never really watched it. I would only watch, like, the auditions and stuff. And then she just kept, like, you should do it this year. You should really do it this year. And then a producer, like, reached out to me. One of the same days that my mom was like, hey, like, have you guys ever thought about American Idol? And then I got a DM. And I was like, okay, wait, this is kind of weird timing. And then, yeah, it was a lot of, like, Zoom auditions. So because I feel like it started off on Zoom, I was not really, like, grasping the fact that it was for American Idol until we drove to Nashville for the actual audition. And I was like, okay, like, what is going on? Like, how is this happening? And, like, singing in front of Lionel and Carrie and Luke Bryan, like, they looked like, I was like, these are not real people in front of me. Like, this is so crazy. But it happened, like, so fast. And I think even, like, after I got the golden ticket and, like, went to the actual rounds.
You said that so casually.
I know. It's like, oh, yeah. No, that was awesome. A lot of tears that day when I was, like, so in shock. But yeah, when I went to Hollywood, it was just, like, everything happened, like, one thing after the other, where it was really hard to just, like, process anything. So most of the time I was just like, what am I doing here? What's going on? Like, how am I here? But every time, like, I would go on stage, I was like, I just have to give it, like, what I got. And they gave us a lot of time to rehearse. They let us, like, they prepared us very well, even though it was, like, so fast. So I just felt like I just gotta do what I gotta do. I wasn't necessarily like, I have to make it to this, you know. I just was really thankful for just being there, like, at point of the period. Like, it's just like, who can say they're on American Idol? Like, that's so weird to me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was definitely a learning experience, and I met a lot of, like, insanely talented artists from, like, all around the world too. Yeah, it was a good one for sure. Yeah.
And so you grew up in a creative household. How, I guess, did that shape you as the person and artist you are today? And what advice would you give to other upcoming creatives that were raised in similar predicaments?
Yeah, it was awesome that I got to grow up with such a, like, artistic family. My dad, he's a singer in multiple bands in South Florida. So growing up, like, we would go to his rehearsals, we would go to shows. And then he would ask me to, like, come up and sing with him at some shows. And then my mom, she was an acting teacher at a performing arts school, like an active pair vibe. So every day after school, me and my sister would go to her job, and she'd be like, I work till 8 tonight, so you need to find the classes that you want to take. So I would take dance, guitar, singing, acting with her, and that was every single day till I was a junior in high school. So it was like it was all I knew, basically. So then going into college, I was just like, I definitely want to do music, but, like, majoring in music is, like, insane to, like, say out loud. So so I found the commercial music program at Florida State University, and it was, like, music and business. So I was like, okay, I can, like, follow my business a little bit. And it's just been great, like, that my parents support it. I know that there are a lot of people that don't have that, like, familial support, and I would not be where I am without them. And now, like, it being, like, my career, it is so cool, like, call my dad and be like, hey, like, I have this gig, like, what do you think I should do? Or even him, he's like, I got this gig, I'm thinking about this concept, and it's, like, really cool to be able to work with your family because you know them so well already. And even, like, recently, like, my cousin reached out, he's a DJ, and he's like, I want to, like, do something with you, like, I think we can, like, create a song together. And then, like, my other cousin, she's a videographer, and she, like, reached out to me as well, like, we were, like, talking about it. So it's, like, really cool to see that you can also be working with your family, and you know, you already love them, so it's cool to have that strong bond while creating something together.
Yeah, that's incredible. A lot of people don't have that. Yeah. And to be able to have that with your family, I think is just something to never take for granted.
Yeah, like definitely not. Like it's just so it's like it's so cool to know that I was able to like be brought up in that kind of like environment because I know that a lot of people don't have that. So take it if you have that, like take advantage of it for sure.
And you talked about studying commercial music in college.
Yeah.
I guess how did that help you not just see yourself as a musician, but also as a business?
Yeah, so we had two options. You could minor in business or minor in like two different forms of entrepreneurship. So I chose social entrepreneurship because it was very like, it was talking a lot about doing business like in a very ethical way. And it opened up my eyes a lot about like how businesses, run their stuff. And it's pretty sad. And like all the regulations that are just kind of like whatever. Just the way that they treat people. And I think that especially like being a woman in music, and then also like in college I did sound and lighting at clubs and venues, and that's a very like male dominating work environment. So it taught me like that there are ethical ways and like right ways to do things, and like if people are not doing that, they're just being weak. And so it helped me kind of find like what kind of environment I wanted to work in. And that has helped me, like I have a summer job and it's like so family, like community based. And a lot of times people would say like, oh, if you can't like take this cutthroat industry, then like you don't belong in here. And I'm like, I understand like I'm gonna get a lot of rejections. I'm gonna get a lot of no's, like that's fine. But like there's a way to talk to people and there's a way to treat people. So I think that social entrepreneurship showed me that like there are things in place that may take maybe a longer time to create that bond and like create the product that you want, but at least you know that it was done the right way. Whereas like a lot of people like to take shortcuts and it can shut people down sometimes. So.
I feel that. So I know you probably written a lot of lyrics in your life. Mm-hmm. What is one lyric that still sticks with you today?
Okay, this one's like kind of mean, but that's how I was feeling in the moment. So it was oh my gosh, it's in a song called Home, and I said it's like talking about finally being like at peace with just being yourself. And the lyric is it's kind of easy, it's kind of sweet to not depend on someone's insecurities. Like I remember like even writing it, I was like, okay. Like I like stopped. Like I think it's literally in the recording. But I feel like I give a lot of things to myself, and if you don't have anything nice to say, like don't say anything at all. But in that moment, like it felt kind of like freeing because it's like that's how I was genuinely feeling, and a lot of people project, and that's a way that they can like deal with their emotions. And while I understand that, like I'm also doing good things, and it was a nice way to say like I don't have to deal with your projections anymore. Like that doesn't have to do with it. It never had to do with me in the first place. It should have never had to do with me, but it did, and now I don't have to deal with it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for people to hear your music and learn more about you. Can you let them know where they can find you?
Yeah, of course. I'm Megan Eileen, and y'all can find me on Instagram at meganeileen.a. I use Instagram way too much, so I'm always on there. And then my music is on most platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, just everything. And it's under Megan Eileen. And
amazing. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us again. We really loved having you on the platform. Can't wait to hear more of your stuff.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And thank you guys for watching another episode of Fridays Are For Frnds. Peace.